I was raised to believe that sex was a temptation of the devil, and that unless it occurred within the confines of marriage, it was evil. But I wasn't born with that opinion. One of the experiences that happened to me as a child was the experience I had with a neighbor. He was always happy to allow the neighbor kids to play in his yard, and we all did. We climbed trees, roller skated, and just generally ran around doing what little neighborhood kids do, I suppose. And once in a while, he would ask if I wanted to rest and sit on his lap. I did. I always liked sitting on laps when I was a kid. When I was very young, I would sit on my mother's lap and try to synchronize our breathing. It was like a meditation, and it felt calming, very peaceful. He would let me sit on his lap, right there in his driveway, in front of everyone, in plain sight. And he would situate himself in such a way that he could put his hand in my crotch without being seen by anyone. He would ask me if I wanted him to tickle me. I said okay, and he would put his hand in my panties and fondle my little girl labia. But here's the thing, I actually enjoyed it. I enjoyed having my labia touched. The tickling sensation was actually quite pleasing. He was very gentle, and I thought it was a fun little secret, even though I don't ever remember him saying to me what we were doing needed to be kept a secret. I wondered why he felt he had to offer me candy afterward. I liked his touch a lot better than the candy. So you can imagine how confused I was when, after telling my best friend, and after that best friend told her mom, that he denied everything when he was confronted. I wasn't mad at him. I was mad at my friend for betraying my secret. I remember being so confused at why my friend's mother was so mad at him and why he was so adamant that it didn't happen. I hated being called a liar. I'm not sure when the church officials started telling us not to have sex. But somewhere between that incident, I must have been about 8 or 9 or 10, and my 14-year-old pubescent self, it was made very clear to me that sexual contact was a temptation from the devil. So when my 14-year-old boyfriend wanted to do it, I was scared. And when I found out that he went to summer camp and found someone else who would put out, I was heartbroken that my unwillingness to consummate our young romance resulted in him seeking sex elsewhere. Apparently, the fear of being alone outweighs the fear of sin. The socialization of sexuality by way of scare tactics seems to be at the root of so many forms of suffering, be they insecurities about one's own place in the world, or a fear that what is natural and normal is a dirty, evil sin. Now, I look back and I see how it can be construed that what my neighbor did was wrong, because an adult with power over a child should never abuse that power. But I don't ever remember feeling like he had control over me, or authority, or power. I remember feeling like it was absolutely my choice to sit on his lap or not. I'm troubled when I try to view that act in terms of whether it was abuse or not. When children do those things to each other, we say they are playing doctor and laugh it off as normal, natural curiosity and exploration. But at what age is the dividing line between normal, natural curiosity and an abuse of power dynamics?
Stop and look into the eyes. I see reflections staring up at me. It's a moment when my life reflects everything I never want to be.
I thought of that incident later in life. I was confused and refused to admit that it had anything to do with my current relationship to intimacy. I insisted that I had not felt traumatized by the incident, and I felt as if my close friends were asking me to invent a trauma so I could feel victimized and subsequently recover. I felt very much like my situation was different, that if I never felt trauma, then I should not be forced to feel traumatized by the event. I still feel this way, and perhaps that means I still have something to learn. Freud would have a field day with me, would he not? But I also believe that social forces ask us far too often to feel victimized. I would rather find the ways I can allow myself to feel empowered rather than feel victimized. When we demonize the words abuser and rapist, perhaps we are also inadvertently not allowing ourselves to conceive of the ways in which habits and beliefs contribute to what I will call mundane abuses and mundane rapes. I call them mundane not because they are unimportant, but because I believe they occur far more often in daily life than we would like to admit.
Just as not all rapes are violent to the point of causing physical injury, not all abuse is violent to the point of causing physical injury. But rape and abuse still occur, and are committed by people who are otherwise perceived as normal members of society, by people who consider themselves normal.
Do I feel like I need to find someone who is damaged, who needs to be healed by my love? I don't actually know where I first learned this narrative, but I know a lot of women in my life, myself included, who have had to force themselves to be rid of the idea that a wounded man would be a good love partner because we could fix them with love. Inevitably, this leads to codependency, which leads to being wounded ourselves. I have to believe we can change our habits and beliefs. Perhaps this belief that change is possible is needed for a person to pass through the stages of being a victim or survivor, monikers which attach to one's identity the very abusive situation from which the person is trying to be free. Top 10 things I've learned in love and sex. Number 1. First boyfriend. If you don't put out, he will find someone else who will. Number 2. First fiancé. Don't ever let a man, or any other human being, Manipulate your personality to become someone you are not. Number 3. First rebound fling. Don't say I love you the first time you have sex. Number 4. First random hookup. If you go on spring break to a college town where the only university is about 90% male and you go to a frat party, you will have your choice of men for the night. Number 5. First casual pseudo-boyfriend. If your boyfriend invites his ex-girlfriend to his party and not you, it's okay to crash the party and sleep with his roommate. Number 6. First, oops, I slept with my boss hookup. Never sleep with your boss. Addendum 6A, especially never sleep with your boss if you don't find him attractive when you are sober. Addendum 6B, and don't sleep with your boss repeatedly if you never found him attractive in the first place. Number 7. First, oops, my best friend and I are sleeping with the same guy conflict. If you find yourself in this situation, the guy is never worth it. Number 8. First mutual crush. True love, although rare and sometimes fleeting, really does exist. Number 9. First self-loving moment. Masturbation can be so liberating. Number 10. First bad marriage. Never marry someone who begs you to marry him.
Rejection is easier to take this way. An excuse for why the love goes so often unrequited. Oh, it's because he's gay. Relationships have been with gay men. Still I hear my gay friends ask flirtatiously, hey, when are you gonna try and cure me?
I told myself I would give him 10 chances. Number 1, the guilt trip for taking a day off to go to the island when a friend was visiting from out of the country. Number 2, slam, slam, slam of door after door after door to show me he was angry without actually hitting me. Number 3, shoving me against the wall when I was 1 month pregnant. Oh, there were some good times. Years later, I looked back at letters I had written him. They were written by a woman in love, longing for her lover. I had no idea who wrote them, and they were written in my own handwriting. Do you think it was because we were living in different countries at the time? Number 4, I had 6 stitches from childbirth. It hurt to sit down. It hurt to take a dump. The doctor told me no sex for 6 weeks. And my husband asks me, "What? Você não vai me dar nenhuma chupadinha?" Number 5, when we lived in Brazil, he always insisted on being the breadwinner. But I was not about to be barefoot and pregnant in a third world country with no way out. Number 6, pregnant, again, in a third world country where abortion is illegal, vomiting on the bathroom floor from a self-induced miscarriage, and he says to me, "Your son is crying. Aren't you going to take care of him?" Number 7, in the middle of an argument, he won't let me get past him to get out the door. Number 8, in the middle of an argument, he yanks my arm to pull me back into the car. Number 9, in the middle of an argument, he elbows me in the jaw. I wrote a letter to my mother telling her I was giving him 10 chances. Later, when I got back to the States, she told me she was heartbroken. 1 chance is too many. Is this just another example of a privileged white woman telling others that all they have to do is just make up their minds not to be victims anymore? Am I shortchanging the stories of a world of unchangeable situations? I really do believe that if a victim does not see or envision or conceive of the possibility of success outside of the known situation of abuse, she or he will never make the effort to get out. But the alternatives are not so clear or distinct. I know from my own experience and from a wide array of first-hand stories I've been told that the decision to leave is not easy, and the strength it takes to actually leave is exponentially more than the strength it takes to make the mere decision. For the way my mind works, for the way my personal narratives tend to play out, hope is crucial to survival, and even more crucial to being able to move beyond surviving and into thriving. You grabbed a bird out of the sky, plucked the feathers, bone dry, left her naked in the rain. And you say, fly, bird, fly.
Sing, bird, sing. You put her in a gilded cage, one that's tarnishing with age. And as you're dangling the key, you scream, fly. Sing, bird, sing. Today I found a dying bird, held her close to me and heard a heart that's dying to be free, so she can fly. Sing, bird, sing.
Top 10 ways not to make love to a woman. Number 1. When you kiss her, shove your tongue down her throat right away. Number 2. Make sure foreplay is exactly the same every single time you have sex. Number 3. When you have sex, tell her not to move. Number 4. When she loses interest in sex, complain all the time about how she never puts out. Number 5. Make sure you bitch and yell when she doesn't perform wifely duties, such as cooking, cleaning, or washing your underwear. And if she tells you to do the damn dishes yourself, make sure you do them loudly and violently. In fact, break a few things. Then she won't ask you to do them anymore. Number 6. Always compliment her on whatever she cooks for you, even if it's a tuna fish sandwich on burnt toast. Number 7. Jealousy. Be sure to go into a jealous rage every chance you get. After you have gotten rid of all of her male friends, start working to get rid of her female friends. Then you can start working on family members. Number 8. When all else fails, use violence. Number 9. When the relationship is over, call her a liar. Tell everyone how she made it all up. Number 10. When she refuses to ever speak to you again, be sure you stalk her and hound her so she knows she will never be rid of your love. Deeper I go,
shows up wearing a brand new beautiful silk shirt I had bought for him 6 months prior. It wasn't even a thought-out Christmas gift. It was an impulse buy at the outlet store. I had $100 worth of clothes for myself over my arm. I was waiting in line when I saw that someone had absent-mindedly stuck the shirt in a rack, as if he had changed his mind at the last minute. This is how he has always been. When he gets a gift, he doesn't wear it or use it. He saves it for later. He waits for a special occasion. It somehow feels like there is never an occasion special enough. So whatever it is, silk shirt, a bottle of Pinot Noir, edible underwear, it sits in his closet collecting dust, waiting for the right moment. It's ironic that he chooses now, in the middle of our divorce, for the last scheduled counseling session, to wear this beautiful blue Italian silk shirt, which I have to admit looks good on him. A stranger might even be fooled into thinking he has good taste, except for one thing: the price tag. There it is, still dangling from the sleeve. Last chance, $9.99, as is, not returnable. Here we are, in front of the Arizona Domestic Relations Law court-appointed counselor. We've met with her 3 times already. She hasn't made any progress, and yet here we are. I try feebly to follow his faulty logic. He tries feebly to force me to admit that there was love there. She tries feebly to remember what happened on her soap opera that day. Through all this, there it is, the price tag. It dances and wiggles and dangles from his wrist. And every time it jumps at me, I want to snatch it and tear it into a million pieces. And I realize how ridiculous it is that a price tag on his shirt is making me uncomfortable. So I try to make a game of it. I follow the price tag in this tennis match. It's been a long time since the score was love. And now, here we are at deuce. He gets mean and ignorant. Add out. I challenge his irrational behavior. Deuce. I tell him, why don't you just write your feelings down in a journal? You don't have to send them to me. Add in. And the price tag jumps at my throat. And I'm beginning to hate this price tag. Deuce. And he asks me, do you think I'm sick? I think it's the sickest thing in the world to write in a journal. Add out. Well, I think it's the healthiest thing in the world. Deuce. It's sick. It's okay if you're a 15-year-old girl, but not for a mature adult. Add out. And the price tag jumps as if adding the final expletive. Game point? Call the line, Judge. Was that in or out? Suddenly, there I am. Monica Seles versus John McEnroe in a mixed-up, gender-fucked version of the Wimbledon final. You're talking to a writer here. You better be careful about what you call sick. You can keep your price tag in check. And we beat ourselves silly trying to make the other person see our point of view. And he tells me he doesn't want to kill himself. Oh, that was out. That was so out. That was not even in the stadium. And it goes on and on. Until the point when he starts getting verbally violent again. I see the fire crackling in his eyes. I hear the fire crackling in his knuckles. He hisses at me like a snake, and I tell the counselor it is time for me to leave. Point, set, and match. The marriage is over. And then he rips the price tag off and he says, I want you to have this. I want you to keep this. You bought me this shirt and I have never worn it until tonight.
and he put the price tag into an envelope, licked it, sealed it, and handed it to me.
Don't forget, I wrote this as a comedy. So for my ending number, I will switch to a more upbeat song. Please don't think this is the contrived positive ending that I associate with Disney movies and American musicals. My heart says we are all capable of love, and we are best served by finding someone capable of expressing a complimentary love. Maybe this is the way to make love to a woman. To acknowledge each other's scars, appreciate the wisdom those life wounds have given us, admire unique and unconventional beauty, and offer love, affection, and support anyway.
I look at the young sprouts and admire their beauty, their delicateness, and their burning desire to become towering oaks. Trying to decide which plants need most to be watered. I see a beautiful, brightly colored orchid. And I shower it with water. Not realize I am drowning this delicate flower. I watch as it wilts.
Cry my tears, fill my bucket, move on. Cry my tears and move
I come across a thirsty-looking cactus. I offer a few drops of water, no response. A few more, no response. I pour my can of water over the prickly needles. And I watch the barrel swell. The only way I will get any moisture from this cactus is to cut it open. I stab the cactus to try and cut a piece for myself. The cactus pricks my fingers and I bleed. Then the cactus shrivels up to heal its wound.
Cry my tears, fill my bucket, move on. Cry my tears and move on. Cry my tears, fill my
I suddenly find myself in a grove of oak trees. There's one that is particularly majestic, towering, powerful. I climb the tree and find myself snuggled into one of the branches. I study the deep lines in the bark.